Something really interesting we were going over this morning in Bible study in Psalms was the concept of do not surround yourself with foolish people. Now, also in the Bible, it tells us not to judge, right? So when we talked about this today, we talked about the difference between foolishness and being a fool and what this actually is pointing towards. And it stirred up some pretty awesome conversation because there's no doubt at one point or another that we've all been foolish. Now, when you said, what is the difference between being foolish and being a fool? A fool would not learn from their mistakes, continuously repeating the same foolish actions over and over. That's kind of more how it seems, right? It's a thing of identity and repetitive action when you'd say, oh, if this person is foolish versus being a fool, and not surrounding ourselves with fools. So I think it's an awareness to, like, when you're powering up and recharging, to be around individuals with actions and identity that lines up with who you imagine to be yourself around, versus being around individuals that are kind of just steering you off track or making unwise decisions based on how you see kind of the trajectory of your future. But at the same time in the Bible, we're told not to judge. So then it's like, I need to be aware of individuals around me and the actions they're taking or the words they're speaking. But I need to not be that individual that's bitter and resentful, like, oh, people this, why can't people that? Why are people acting like this? Why won't people get their stuff together? And just developing this angry mentality. So like you look at an individual and you make some judgment and you're just like, yeah, I'm writing them off. They're completely written off because I don't like the way they eat. I don't like the way they take care of their body. I don't like the way they do what they do. Like that's where the judgment piece just really puts us in a place of we're playing God at that point. We're not told to judge. We can have awareness and instinctual kind of results that we're drawn towards. Obviously you need to have judgment with safety, entering a situation, be like, is this environment safe? What is going on around me? Who am I around? What are their intentions? Those can be initial judgments, but when we dive a little bit further and we're worried about what that person's wearing, you know, what that person's doing, or there's just this battle, this game of comparison, that's where we're diving a little too far. So it's interesting how when we're in this Bible study, we're being told, yes, it's important who you surround yourself with and understanding what these individuals' intentions are and what these individuals' repeated actions look like in the words that come out of their mouth. But at the same time, in the Bible, we're called to be around individuals who are lost, right? Who are not close to God or don't know a lot about God's truth. So that's really the mission there. You've accepted Jesus as your Savior. You're learning how, you know, to steward your life in the eyes of God, and you're working towards that. You know, we're imperfect, but we're figuring it out a little bit at a time. And along that journey, we're called to actually be disciples. And at that point, you're showing people more of God's truth through your action, just walking around, being respectful, loving others just right where they are, just being a good person, and allowing people to see that transformation that occurred through you in real time. So you have to be around individuals that are far from God to show people who God is. There's no doubt about that. You're going to be in environments where maybe people aren't following God or don't think the same as you, or aren't following the same beliefs as you. But just remember, all that goodness and all that grace and all that just peace that God has filled you with, you can walk around with that and allow people just to experience that and feel that. So when the Bible's like, hey, be aware, do not surround yourself with fools, I look at it as, hey, a majority of the time, I'm not going to surround myself with people really, really far and off track, right? I'm going to go, okay, there is a level of accountability to the mindset of discipline and health and leaning into my faith and just stewarding a good life. I want to be around individuals like that, right? But then, that should be a majority of the time. But there's also going to be times where I'm around individuals that you hope to make a good impact on, that are maybe far from where you're at in the goodness that you're sharing. So This was a really, really good reflection because you can dive into this category of understanding who it is you surround yourself with, but at the same time, not called the judge as well. So just not getting in that mentality of bitterness or anger. So it's an interesting, really, posture to have, to walk around with this loving, unconditional posture, but taking reflection as well of where we're spending our time and who those individuals are and what their intentions are. So let me know what you think about this one. This was a deep, introspective one.